Auburn baseball is 16-8 on the year and 1-5 in the SEC. A big 3-game set at Texas A&M this week. Can the Tigers get it rolling? Let's talk about it on today's episode of the Uptempo Podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What is up, Auburn family? What is up, Uptempo family? I'm your guy, Blake Lane, here to talk some Auburn baseball with you. The Auburn Tigers dropped the series with the Arkansas Razorbacks, the number one team in the country, and it was a heartbreaking defeat. The first two games were two games that you felt Auburn could win, should have won. You dropped the first one against Hagen Smith, 1-0 in that Thursday night game. Look, we all know what Hagen Smith is about. We know he's one of the best in the land, and he just shut down the Auburn offense. I think he had 12 Ks, and then the bullpen combined, Arkansas had 17 strikeouts in game one. So Auburn, that game one was really just about Auburn not being able to get the big hit, and Connor McBride, his first start, I thought he looked fantastic. He gave up the early bomb in the first, but after that, folks, Connor McBride was lights out. And I feel like that's what we saw in the midweek early in the season. And I felt like that's why he needed to move to the weekend, is because we just kept seeing quality stuff. And then he gets to one of the better lineups in the country and the number one team in the country, and he only gives up a solo jack. But that game one was really about Auburn just not being able to get that clutch hit. And, you left the runners at second and third in the fourth. You had an opportunity to score there, and then you come up in the sixth, and you leave the bases loaded there, not being able to get the clutch hit. Mason Mainer's come up a couple times in those spots and couldn't deliver. And, hey, that's baseball. It's a tough one. It's one of those where you were really looking to get that Momo going. You're struggling in conference play. You had just come off a sweep at Vanderbilt. You had just struggled in that midweek against South Alabama. So you were really looking for somebody to come through and get that clutch hit, and it just wasn't there. It wasn't there in game one, and you lose a heartbreaker 1-0, and you start 0-4 in conference play. And I think that's where we really started looking at that Friday game. And we were like, hey, this is game two. You got to come out and win this one. And you come out, you get a lead. You're feeling good about yourself. I think Auburn was up 3-1 in this game. And you ultimately fall 6-5. And once again, you can't get the clutch hit. And I thought Chase Alsop pitched really well. I think if you get those 6 innings from Chase and he only gives up 4 runs, 3 earned, 1 walk, and 5 Ks, I think that's what you got to have, because you know what you're getting out of Connor McBride in game one. He's been elite. And now if you can get 6 out of Chase, that's what you got to have. That's what you got to have. And in that game one, you got Cam Tilley, Tanner Bauman in the pen. That I thought they pitched excellent. So you get a 6-inning game from Chase Alsop in game two. Then you're really set up for game three with Gonzo. And the rest of your pitching staff really available for game three. So I thought Chase pitched well. I really do. I think that was a bright spot for Auburn. Even though Auburn could not get the clutch hit once again, and you lose a heartbreaker 6-5, you give up the solo in the ninth. I was a little not on board with leaving John Armstrong in, but, hey, it happens. Guy, I think he pinch hit and hit a nuke. I think he was a defensive replacement, if I'm not mistaken. But you lose a tough one in game two, and you fall to 0-5 in SEC play, right? The Auburn Tigers 0-5 after all the success that they've had in previous years, and we were all hyped up. And, I was down in Jacksonville earlier in the season, and I was like, hey, this team is for real. And people are starting to question, hey, what's wrong with Auburn baseball? I was getting DMs like, what's wrong with Auburn baseball? And I was like, look, we've played 2 of the best teams in the country, and it just hasn't went our way yet. The ball hasn't bounced our way yet, right? And I hate it, but we just haven't come up with clutch hits. We haven't made the plays on defense to win baseball games. And that's how it goes sometimes. It's a struggle. We had to find ourselves. We had to really have something happen to go our way and create a spark for this baseball team, because I considered Game 3 on Saturday to be a must-win baseball game for the Auburn Tigers. There's no way you can start 0-6 in conference play. No way. None. Not having to go to A&M this weekend. There's no way you can start conference play 0-6. You can't walk into Bluebell Park 0-6. So it was a must-win game, and I know that's crazy to say this early in the season, this early in conference play, because you play 30 of them. But it was a must-win game. And you get to Game 3, and you do it. You get the clutch hits. You're down in the game. Mason Mainers hits a solo to lead off the 6th. Cooper Murray with a big-time swing. You're down, and then all of a sudden Coop goes yah-yah, and you got a 2-run lead. You're up 7-5. All right, can you pull through? Can you add some insurance? And you do. You find a way. You get an 8-6 victory. I thought that is what you absolutely needed to happen in Game 3. You had a 6-run 6th inning. That is what the Auburn Tigers needed. They came through when it mattered. Everybody was sitting around, including myself. Big hit, big hit. When's it going to happen? Was it one of those Mississippi State games from last year where you thought, things were fading away, and were the kids going to start giving up? Were they going to lose faith in the team? Were they going to lose faith in the locker room? You don't want the clubhouse to go south. Was there going to be some questioning of the coaching staff from the fan base? I see all of that crazy stuff where Auburn baseball loses the game and people start questioning Butch Thompson. It's incredible to me, but you just wanted a little spark from the guys, and Mason Mainers has created that spark. Cooper McMurray has created that spark. And that big 6-run 6th inning was exactly what this team needed. And you find a way to get into your bullpen, close a game out, and you find a dub. It only takes one. Remember what I said last year. Did it remind you of that Mississippi State game where Bryson Ware had to go yah-yah down the line, and it was that spectacular comeback? I think we were down like 7-2 in that game or something like that, 7-1, and we come back and we win it. And that's what it took for Auburn to kind of get on that roll, It took that miraculous comeback, that late inning comeback. And so even though you lost the series, you salvaged something. It showed me that you fought for something. It showed me that this team has not given up. And it showed me that you might have something in the weekend rotation now with taking Carson Myers out of that rotation, moving him into the bullpen, him being able to come in and give you that 1, maybe 2 solid innings out of the bullpen. You showed me that Connor McBride's a dog in what he did in his first start against one of the best teams in the country, against the best lineups in the country. So you showed me that. You showed me that you're working on this pitching rotation to get it figured out, because Butch knows you still got time. Even though you're 1-5, you still got time. But you got to go do a job this weekend at Bluebell. It's going to be a hostile environment. They show up out there. They get rowdy out there. They're one of the best fan bases in college baseball. They've been to Omaha just like we have. They've competed. They've super regionals, all that good stuff. They've competed. They've showed up. They've been a spectacular fan base. They got a hell of a head coach. They got hella good players. They're a talented club. But you got to go do a job this weekend. Easter weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, starting today. Got to go get a job done. But I was super impressed with the guts and the bounce back for the Auburn Tigers. It showed me a lot for them not to give up and go 0-6 in conference to start the year, and you really battled, and you're showing that you can play with one of the best teams in the country. You can play with the top teams in the country. That Vanderbilt was a fluke, all right? That's what it showed me, is you didn't play your best baseball, and you should have won the series against Arkansas. Some say you could have swept Arkansas. Just those first 2 games, you didn't get the clutch hit. I think we got to be a little better than that. I think we got to have somebody up in the moments that want to come through. So, looking at the midweek, I thought this Jack State game was going to be a lot tougher than it was. I really do. I thought that Jack State was going to give us a game just because of the baseball that we had been playing. But boy, this Auburn team come out. They were prepared. They were ready. I think that Arkansas series might have lit a fire. I think that big Game 3 win on Saturday may have lit a fire. I do. And this Auburn lineup come out, and they hit the baseball. They punished the baseball. A lot of home runs were hit. Cooper McMurray, Chris Stanfield, Mason Mainers, Ike Irish. Hey, Ike Irish is lifting the ball this year. It's fun to watch. That kid's one of the most pure hitters I've ever seen in college baseball. Just an absolute freak at the plate and just growing at catcher. That ball he threw in Game 1 against Arkansas, oh, man. You can tell the talent's there. You can tell. Ike is a dude. So just coming into Tuesday night, what I was really looking for was just a hard-fought, gritty win, and Auburn take control. And I was really wanting to see us hit, but I also wanted to see Herbert Holtz have a great outing, and I thought he did. I know he gave up the 2-run home run 5 pitches into the game. I understand that, but 2 runs, that's not going to beat Auburn. All right, I know it did against Arkansas, but that's one of the best pitching staffs in the country. Jack State is not one of the best pitching staffs in the country, so 2 runs ain't going to beat Auburn. But I want to see how Christian Herbert Holtz bounces back from that, and he did. If he can give you 4 innings on the midweek and still be available in the weekend, and all of these other guys, like an Alex Petrovic or Dylan Watts or Zach Crotchfeld, if all those guys can get their innings in and also be available on the weekend, and they look as good as they did, I think we found something in the rotation. I think we have. I think we're set up now. I think this is really what we were looking for. We were looking for that first game guy. All right, because now if Connor goes out in Game 1 at A&M and picks up a dub, then you have Chase and Gonzo to try to win the series. And I think that's 2 that you can have in your corner that you feel pretty positive about, especially Chase and the way he's come on throughout the year. Don't rag on Chase. I mean, he threw 6 innings and gave up 4 runs, and 3 of them were earned. All right? If you can hold one of the best lineups in the country to 4 runs throughout 6 innings, look, this is college baseball, folks. You hammer the over for a reason because there's runs put on the board. That's why we bet overs in college baseball. People score a lot of runs. So if you're giving up 6 runs to the number 1 team in the country, Auburn should win that baseball game because I believe in that Auburn lineup. I'm not asking Chase to go out here and throw perfect baseball. I just want you to limit the mistakes and keep it within reach. And I felt like that's what he did against Arkansas. So, the Jack State game, just timely hitting, seeing guys get hot. Chris Stanfield really seeing it. That felt good for him. Really positive for him. I thought Chris had been struggling here lately, but seeing him get that right there, that was a positive for the Auburn lineup. And you hammered them. You did what you were supposed to do in the midweek. You stayed undefeated in the midweek. That's only going to continue to help your resume as you move forward throughout the year. But you got to start winning conference games. And going on the road against Texas A&M this week, that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Like I said, hostile environment. They're going to show up. They can hit. They can smash. They're a good club. They're a good club. They took Florida to a rubber match, and I think they lost that series, and then they won the series against Mississippi State, and that was also a rubber match. So they've played 2 pretty good clubs. It seems like Mississippi State is a solid club this year. I think we got to give them a little bit more credit than what we were at the very beginning of the year because they look to be, a tough out this year. So this team they've played 2 tough series. Auburn has played 2 tough series. I believe A&M has played most of their games at home. I think they're 17-2 at home and like 3-3 away or something like that. It's something close to that, if I'm not mistaken. So, a tough test. You're battle tested. You need to go do a job, and I think you have to take 2 out of 3 from Texas A&M. You cannot come home. You cannot come home 2-7 in conference play. You got to come home 3-6. Got to come home 3-6. I would really love for you to come home 4-5, but you got to come home 3-6. You got to go on the road and take 2 out of 3. And in order to do that, you're going to have a quality start out of Connor tonight, Thursday night, 6 p.m., as you see on the bottom line there. Going to have a quality start. Going to have to win a baseball game. Connor's going to have to give you 5-6 innings. Going to have to keep it within striking distance. If Connor McBride only gives you 1 run, if he only gives up 1 run at A&M, you got to win that baseball game. You have to. It's a must win. If he only gives up 1 run, you got to find a way to get the clutch hit this weekend. Your season's on the line. In game 2, Friday, Chase also. You got to have the same outing you had against Arkansas. You got to keep it close. You got to keep Auburn within striking distance. You got to find the glove. Keep the walks down. Keep the walks down. I was really impressed by that. Thought he's been throwing a lot more strikes. Then obviously game 3, we can get it to Gonzo. Anything can happen. Anything can happen there. I'm always going to feel positive with Gonzo in a rubber match situation or anything along those lines, especially with Auburn's lineup. I still believe this Auburn lineup is one of the best in the country. I do. I just think we ran into a really dominant pitching staff with Arkansas. And so that's the job. That's the task at hand. You got to fight this weekend. And I think don't give up on this Auburn team. Don't give up on this Auburn team. They're going to fight. They're going to scratch and they're going to claw. You just got to survive. All right? You got to survive this week, and you got to survive next week. This week and next week. Next week's going to be hammered packed at Plainsman. A lot of great things. You got A-Day. It's a new month. April's coming to town. We got to be feeling good. Survive this weekend. Get to 3-6 or 4-5. Can't leave College Station 2-7. Survive this weekend, make it to next at the crib, and let's go. All right, let's get on a roll. I think that game 3 against Arkansas really showed something in this team. So, we'll keep it short and sweet with each and every one of you. Look, Auburn Baseball, it's going to be a hell of a year. Like I said, don't give up on them. I appreciate each and every one of you for joining me today. 6 p.m. right there as you see on the bottom of the line, SEC Network Plus. Tune in, raise some hell for these kids, cheer them on as they go out there to Aggie Land and try to get a series dub. I thank y'all. War damn Eagle. I will catch you on the next one talking Auburn Baseball. See y'all.